Your reality is a controlled hallucination. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like some wild clickbait title, right? But what if I told you it's not? It's actually a pretty profound conclusion from decades of neuroscience, and it suggests that your entire experience of the world, and even yourself, is not at all what it seems.
To really get this, let's start with a story from a neuroscientist named Anil Seth. He talks about this time he went under general anesthesia, and he said it wasn't like falling asleep. There were no dreams, no sense of time passing. He was just gone. It was, in his words, total oblivion. And that experience really highlights just how fragile and mysterious this thing we call consciousness really is, the one thing we take for granted every single second we're awake.
And that really begs the question, doesn't it? What even is consciousness? For centuries, this was a question for philosophers. But now, it's one of the biggest mysteries left for science to solve. I mean, how does the firing of billions of tiny neurons inside your brain create the unique, subjective experience of being you?
And the stakes here couldn't be higher, because think about it. Without consciousness, there is nothing. No world, no self, no joy, no suffering, nothing. It's the very foundation of our reality. So if we want to understand ourselves, we have to start by trying to understand this.
So where do we even begin with a mystery this huge? Well, the key is to approach it like a scientist, to treat it not as something magical or beyond our grasp, but as a natural phenomenon we can actually explain. Let's think about it this way. 100 years ago, life itself was a massive mystery. People seriously thought that living things had to have some kind of magical spark, this force of life. But scientists didn't go looking for a magic spark. They just got to work explaining the properties of life, things like metabolism, reproduction, and so on. And as they did, the big, scary mystery of life just kind of dissolved. The plan? Do the exact same thing for consciousness.
Okay, so let's get into the leading scientific theory for how our brains actually build our reality. And it all starts with a simple but kind of mind-bending problem.
Just try to imagine for a second that you are your brain. You're stuck inside a dark, silent, bony box, your skull. You have no direct access to the outside world. No light, no sound. All you're getting are these constant streams of ambiguous electrical signals from your senses. So how on earth do you turn that into the rich, colorful, meaningful world you're experiencing right now?
Well, the answer seems to lie in a theory called predictive processing. The basic idea is that your brain isn't just passively soaking up information like a sponge. No, it's actively, constantly making predictions, its best guess, about what's causing those sensory signals. So perception isn't information coming in, it's a process of informed guesswork going out.
And this is a really crucial point. It completely flips our intuition on its head. We like to think of perception as a clear window that just looks out onto the world. But this theory says it's way more of a construction, a world being generated from the inside that's just constantly being fine-tuned by information coming from the outside. Now, this might sound a little abstract, I get it. But here's the cool part. You can actually experience this prediction machine running inside your own head. The best way to see it in action is to look at the moments when it gets things wrong. And that's where illusions come in.
Okay, take a look at this famous checkerboard illusion. To your eyes, patch A looks way darker than patch B, right? I mean, the difference seems pretty obvious, but, and you might not believe me, they are the exact same shade of gray. So why do they look so different? Because your brain has a deeply learned prediction that shadows make surfaces look dimmer. So it corrects for the shadow, making you consciously see patch B as lighter than it really is. Your brain's prediction literally overrides reality.
And this predictive process doesn't just happen with your eyes, it happens with all of our senses. Let's try it with your ears. Imagine I played you a really distorted, garbled audio clip. The first time you hear it, it would probably just sound like a bunch of meaningless noise, wouldn't it?
But then, what if I told you what the original sentence was? I give your brain a new, better prediction. Now, when I play the exact same distorted sound again, suddenly you can hear the words clear as day. Wild, right? Nothing about the sound changed at all. The only thing that changed was your brain's best guess, and that completely transformed what you consciously heard.
So what's really fascinating about all this is that if you think of a hallucination as a kind of uncontrolled perception, well, then normal perception is a kind of controlled hallucination. We are, in a very real sense, all hallucinating all the time. The only difference is that when we all agree on our hallucinations, we give that agreement a special name: reality.
Okay, so our perception of the outside world is a controlled hallucination. Got it.
But this next step is where things get really personal. We're going to apply that exact same logic to our own sense of self.
Now, this might sound like a strange question. I mean, okay, a visual illusion can trick my eyes, but surely I can't be mistaken about being, well, me, right? About this body being my body. It turns out that experience is also a construction. It's a best guess. Let me explain with a classic experiment called the rubber hand illusion. It's actually super simple to do. First, a person's real hand is hidden from their sight. Second, a fake rubber hand is put right in front of them where their hand would normally be. And then someone starts stroking both the real hidden hand and the fake rubber hand in the exact same way at the exact same time.
And what happens is just astonishing. After a little while, most people start to get this uncanny feeling that the fake hand is their own. Their brain is weighing the evidence. Okay, I see a hand being touched, and I feel a touch that matches it perfectly. Its best guess? Well, that rubber hand must be mine. It shows that even our most basic sense of owning our own body is a perception, a best guess made by the brain.
And this brilliantly illustrates a much deeper truth. All these predictions about our body, from the outside, like touch, and from the inside, like our heart rate, they're all part of a fundamental process. Our brain isn't just trying to figure out what's what, it's trying to regulate our body to keep us alive. All of our conscious experiences, from the color red to the feeling of being you, they all stem from this basic biological drive for survival. In a way, we predict ourselves into existence.
So, accepting that our reality and our self or controlled hallucinations isn't just a cool party trick. It actually has some really profound implications for how we see the world and how we see ourselves.
For one, it could change how we approach mental health, suggesting that conditions like depression might be the brain getting stuck in negative prediction loops. Second, it tells us that consciousness probably isn't like software you can just upload to a computer. It's deeply tied to the living, biological machine that is our body. And finally, it reconnects us to the rest of nature, reminding us that our human consciousness is just one version of a fundamental process that we share with all living things.
You know, this whole focus on prediction errors ties into a fascinating philosophical idea. As Dr. Vikas Divyakriti puts it, we often experience the world in terms of what's missing. What you don't have is gold. This makes perfect sense for a predictive brain. It's basically an error correction machine. It's not focused on the predictions that come true, it's obsessed with the ones that don't. Those prediction errors are the gold it's always chasing because that's what it needs to update its model of reality.
And that leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. If our reality is built by our brain's predictions that are shaped by our beliefs and our past experiences, then that gives us a new kind of agency. It suggests that by changing our predictions, we can actually start to change our reality. So the crucial question is, what reality will you predict for yourself?